Good evening and welcome to 7 Eyewitness News. I'm Samantha Ratt and thank you for joining us tonight. Let's take a look at the major headlines. St. Paul Street residents are outraged against the government's over $69 offer. Chairman of the Commission of Inquiry into CLICO and the HCU has criticized several former PNM ministers for their failure to cooperate with the inquiry. The Ministry of Health launched its specialized multidisciplinary cardiac clinic in pregnancy. And in business, former Finance Minister Karen Nunes-Teixeira clashes with Harry Hanrahan's attorney and the attorney representing the Ministry of Finance, and this as the Commission of Inquiry into the collapse of the HCU resumed today. Straight to our top story now, residents of St. Paul Street in Port of Spain staged a heated protest today to highlight their anger and disappointment over government's People and Projects for Progress program. The residents are rejecting the money being offered to them through this program as they say they are not happy and are calling on National Security Minister Jack Warner to address the issue immediately. Reporter Nicole Duki and cameraman Che Tikar Singh were there and brought back this report.
Scenes of anger and fury at St. Paul Street in Port of Spain earlier today as residents expressed their disappointment over government's offer of $69 per day through its People and Projects for Progress program. The program was launched last Wednesday and it is aimed at reducing crime in the community. However, when the residents attended orientation this morning, they were informed about the $69. This sparked outrage.
Them saying money was a creeping dictatorship, right? But the People's Partnership, them is a running, traveling, showing Keishon Walcott dictatorship.
Last week, the National Security Minister claimed that the residents were being forced to pay taxes to criminals. However, they refuted those claims.
Jack Warner say the people that pay tax to the gangsters who run in the work. So asking the question, anybody here that pay gangsters any tax? Anybody here that pay gambling any tax? No.
The disgruntled residents went as far as to call for an early election.
They fail the country miserably, and we're calling for them to have an election right now. Not because we went wrong the bridges. When do you want the election? Right now. 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 When do you want the election? Right now.
Meanwhile, Councillor for East Dry River, Aisha Wells, visited the protesting residents. She described the program as a polished version of the unemployment relief program.
$69 a day to support their children 1 month before Christmas. And you're telling me that that is sustainable employment?
Reporting for 7 Eyewitness News, I am Nicole Duki.
More and more pregnant women are dying from heart disease. It's in fact the leading cause of death among pregnant women in the United Kingdom and a growing problem right here in TNT. Well, today the Ministry of Health launched its specialized multidisciplinary cardiac clinic in pregnancy. Daryl Hirlal tells us more.
It's not something pregnant couples usually think about, dying from heart disease before childbirth. But it is the major cause of mortality among pregnant women in at least one developed country. And if this is the leading cause of death in the United Kingdom, then imagine how much at risk a pregnant woman here in Trinidad and Tobago. Luckily, the Ministry of Health and the North Central Regional Health Authority, with the help of the Imperial College London, has launched a specialized multidisciplinary cardiac clinic at the Mount Hope Maternity Hospital.
If you look at what's happening with cardiac disease in pregnancy, there is a rising trend, and in the UK, for instance, it is now the leading cause of maternal deaths in pregnancy and in the intrapartum period.
Says Dr. Bharat Basu, consultant obstetrician and gynecologist at the maternity hospital. And why is this happening?
Well, we all know that women are delaying their pregnancies for later in life. We are aware that there is a rising epidemic of obesity in pregnancy, hypertension, diabetes, smoking. All of these are more common as women get older, and therefore the risk of acquired heart disease is also going to rise.
While Professor of Obstetrics at Chelsea and Westminster Hospital, Imperial College London, Mark Johnson, says while cardiac disease is most important, there are several other causes of pregnancy mortality, including illness and hypertension.
And this, I suppose, cardiac disease, from my point of view, is the first step. And I hope that we will build together, work in other areas to help find common areas of interest, research, and clinical innovation.
The clinic will open in November and will cater to women island-wide. Daryl Hiralal for 7 Eyewitness News.
For some other news now, Chairman of the Commission of Inquiry into CLICO and the HCU has criticized several former PNM ministers for their failure to cooperate with the inquiry. The inquiry started this morning with former Finance Minister Karen Nunes Teixeira taking the stand. But before starting her evidence, Chairman Sir Anthony Coolman made it a point that several of her cabinet colleagues have so far refused to appear.
Mention but a few names, Mr. Ennals, Mr. Brown, Mr. Montano in particular, have not offered to come and give evidence. It's surprising, perhaps, that those who were the political representatives of the people of Trinidad and Tobago have not felt able to provide assistance to the Commission in circumstances where it might have been expected that they would.
Also, the new attorneys hired by the Ministry of Finance made their first appearance this morning. Newly appointed Minister Larry Hawaii fired the former team led by Senior Counsel Fayad Hussain. Then, under public pressure, the new legal team, Sinath Jairam SC and Joseph Tony, returned their briefs. This morning, Jagdev Singh appeared on behalf of the ministry.
He knows that you're in a somewhat awkward position, and you're indeed the only representative of the Ministry of Finance, as I understand it.
Happy to announce with me that I have Mr. Kewal Singh with me here this morning, Commissioner.
Right.
And we are being led by Mr. Nelson, who unfortunately is...
And some more news now. The Ministry of Education is promising to complete electrical upgrades at the Kunapo St. Francis RC Primary School. Ministry officials met with parents this morning and promised works will continue at weekends and after school hours to cause as little disruption to classes as possible. The school was shut down after the wiring was found to be faulty, and the Electrical Inspectorate was given temporary approval for electrical meters to be replaced by TN Tech. While special arrangements have been put in place for standards 4 and 5 students who will be temporarily housed in the church building, while the rest of the student population will receive classes in the school compound from 7:30 a.m. to 12 noon to facilitate the necessary electrical upgrades. Meanwhile, the Police Complaints Authority Community Outreach Program heads to Rio Claro, Mayaro, and this as the PCA continues its nationwide outreach campaign to educate society on the authority's roles, responsibilities and functions. The program is coded for October 23, 2012 at 5:30 p.m. at the Rio Claro Community Center. Minister of Community Development Winston Gypsy Peters will be in attendance, while Director Gillian Nucky will speak on the independent role of the PCA as it relates to law enforcement. Lucky will also address concerns of citizens in the community, and the program will enable citizens to interface with PCA staff on issues relating to their communities and even their personal lives. While a security guard is currently warded at hospital after being shot, according to reports, the incident took place shortly before 10 o'clock this morning in Londonville. It is said that he had his gun taken away by 2 men who subsequently shot him. The suspects have since been arrested. Speaker of the House of Representatives thinks that our society is a privileged one, and Wade Mark was yesterday attending Wind Communications' official launch of the Diwali 2012 celebrations. And Mark took the platform as a means by which to compliment the nation on its support of the various cultural groups.
Here in Trinidad and Tobago, we are indeed privileged to live in a country blessed with so much diversity and richness of cultures and traditions. Certainly, It is in this diversity that we find our greatest strength, as evidenced by the many Hindus and non-Hindus that come out each year to join in the great festival of Diwali.
Also took the opportunity to commend the Wind Communications Network for its part in taking the Indian culture and broadcasting it proudly to the world.
To Win TV and to Win Radio for doing a superb job in exposing and highlighting the East Indian culture of Trinidad and Tobago, locally, regionally, and internationally. Wind Communication is fast becoming a premier provider of Indian content, and it's my sincere hope that the company continues to grow from strength to strength.
Well, from Diwali to Christmas, it's also that time of the year again, Parang season, and the patrons of Queen's Hall will be hosting their 5th annual Parang for So fundraiser event for the Mayor Johnstone Bursary. The Mayor Johnstone Bursary is an initiative of the Patrons Development Program. The monetary award is granted on the basis of financial need and is offered to promising and outstanding students in the performing arts, expressly but not exclusively in music, dance and theatre. Parang for So is the lone fundraiser for the project and features Master Miranda, Los Alumnos de San Juan, Los Paranderos de UE and the Sacred Heart Boys Parang Group, and is carded for October Sunday 20th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Do stay with us. It's time for a short commercial break. We'll be right back with so much more. Welcome back to some more news now. The Commission of Inquiry into the collapse of Seal Financial and the Hindu Credit Union resumed today, with the Ministry of Finance being represented by a new battery of lawyers. Attorney Jagdev Singh is the new attorney for the ministry after the original attorneys led by Senior Counsel Fayad Hussain were fired. The ministry then hired Senior Counsel Jairam Sinath and COP Chairman Joseph Tony, but following public outcry, both men gave up the post. Singh told Commissioner Sir Anthony Coleman that he was prepared to cross-examine former Finance Minister Karen Nunez Teixeira.
We are able to do the cross-examination, Commissioner.
You are going to?
Yes.
Yeah. And the estimates that have been put forward, as I understand it, are in relation to both those witnesses, 1 hour for the Ministry of Finance. Do you adhere to that?
We may be a little shorter than that. We suspect with Mrs. Teixeira perhaps 30 minutes.
Former Finance Minister Karen Nunez Teixeira and attorney representing HCU President Harry Hanarayan clashed today during the cross-examination. Attorney Farid Schoon insisted that the former Finance Minister met Hanarayan before the credit union got into difficulties and even asked him for assistance during her election campaign. But to this, Teixeira denied all claims.
You call Mr. Hanarayan and say, look, help me. Because you knew him before.
I knew Mr. Hanarayan.
Oh, yes.
How did I? Well,
because he knew Russia Teixeira.
You know what? You know how silly that is? That means that everybody that I know in a professional level at the law school, my husband knew because I knew them. That's ridiculous. I did not know Mr. Hanarayan.
Mr. Hanarayan found your lost bag in South Africa on a trip. And you hugged him up and kissed him when you and your husband went South Africa.
Oh my, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, the bag that he's saying was lost was not my bag, I never lost a bag. Someone else's bag was stolen when they were in Johannesburg. Mr. Hanarayan never got my bag, never stole. Mr. Hanarayan has a very, and I'm being kind.
That's enough,
he has a very vivid imagination.
Yeah.
But it did not stop there. Teixeira insisted that the HCU president lied to her about a valuation company that he claimed was used by the central bank.
Did you ever look at this valuation?
I know that you're not hearing me now.
Okay.
I'm convinced.
So
I'm going to say it very clearly for the record. I never said that I questioned the credibility or professionalism of this. Anything about? But what I know is that he's told another lie.
Did you ask to see the valuation, ma'am?
Why would I? But I don't understand. Maybe I'm not.
Did you ask Mr. Hiralal about it?
Mr. Harnaran, Mr. Schoon, oh my goodness, Mr. Harnaran, Mr. Schoon, I'm sorry, I'm mixing you up. I don't know why I'm mixing you up, but you know what? You are confused. You know?
I'm honored to be called Mr. Harnaran.
And I know why. I can see why.
Okay, well,
but let me just say,
we'll call it a day now, and nobody will misname you.
Yeah.
Former Finance Minister Karen Eunice Teixeira was today cross-examined by the new attorney representing the Ministry of Finance. But in a strange line of questioning, Attorney Jagdeep Singh took the minister to task for decisions that she made about the Hindu Credit Union. Teixeira told the commission that she ensured that in helping the HCU, it was done in a transparent and fair manner. She adds that it was difficult to assist the credit union since Harry Harnaran was not an honest man.
The Hindu Credit Union assisted me in my campaign, and I don't want anyone to say that could ever influence my decision making, because he helped me in my campaign, that this was payback time and I was to help, and I'm not doing that. It's not all politicians pay back their financiers.
No, Mrs. Teixeira, but
not all of them. You know, some of us, not all politicians. No, I have to say that.
Teixeira told Attorney Singh that he was trying to paint the wrong picture about how she dealt with the HCU matter.
Clearly, perhaps you don't have an appreciation of what was going on. You don't seem to appreciate, and I'm sure did not give evidence in chief. So perhaps for those who may not have read it and for the national community, what you do not understand, Mr. Harnaran, when he met with me on the first occasion, was very passionate about the condition of the Hindu Credit Union, about how many assets they had, how wealthy they were. It reminded me of Clico, actually. And that
exactly. Is it at that time you perceived that there was no threat to the national economy?
But you keep asking me that question. I don't know how else to tell you the answer. I don't know. A threat to the national economy.
Or
no, you can't ask me a question and not give me a chance to answer if you don't like the answer I'm giving you. I'm not in a court of law.
And then Commissioner Sir Anthony Coleman interrupted, questioning Attorney Singh about his line of questions, especially since he was representing the Ministry of Finance and Teixeira was a former finance minister.
I am merely probing Mrs. Teixeira as to what...
I just don't understand it at all.
Sorry, sir. As to what informed her decision, that is all. I make no imputation against Mrs. Teixeira. I want to make that abundantly clear.
Well, reporter Michelle Michael joins us next with tonight's Sports Cap. Stay with us.
A very good evening to you, and thank you for joining us. I am Michelle Michael with your Sports Cap on 7 Eyewitness News. Well, straight into the top story, the launch of the Atlantic LNG's National Primary Schools Football League Championship 2012 took place today at the Hasely Crawford Stadium. The championship, in its 8th year under the kind patronage of the Atlantic LNG, took place today. And speaking on behalf of Atlantic, Head of Corporate Communications, Carolyn Tony Sergio Ramnarine, shared their vision.
League, when we first started back in 2005, wasn't only to offer a forum for competition at a junior level, but more importantly, it was to bring football to as many young people as we possibly could. Because you see, this game goes beyond just kicking a football around for 90 minutes on a field. This game teaches you very important values. Values such as teamwork, discipline, perseverance, respect. These are values that will serve you well in whatever it is you choose to do in your lives.
Passion for sport has been its driving force in being part of such initiatives. Sergio Ramnarine continued that sport has been an invaluable vehicle for youth development and socialization. In addition to Atlantic's sponsorship, they have also built a partnership with international football giant Manchester United, who will provide tactical skills training and leadership development to the top 50 boys and girls coming out from the championships. She reminisced on the joy that the country felt when Trinidad and Tobago qualified for the Football World Cup back in 2006, our success at the 2012 London Olympics, and most recently the West Indies 2020 World Cup victory. She concluded, "This is the power of sport, the power to unite people. The draw then took place and was carried out by Trinidad and Tobago and West Indies woman cricketer Marissa Aguilera and national sailor Andrew Lewis.
Play Tobago second team. Victoria will play Caronies second team. Northeastern will play Port of Spain second team. East St. George will play Southeastern second team. Port of Spain will play East St. George. Southeastern will play St. Patrick. Caroni will play Victoria. And as you just heard, Tobago will play Northeastern.
And now in some news of cricket, the West Indies will play 3 day-night matches among 5 one-day internationals against Bangladesh during their away tour, which starts next month. The day-night ODIs are on December 5th, 7th and 8th, all in Mirpur, which is also the venue for the only 2020 international, under lights on December 10th. The venue for the first 2 ODIs on November 30th and December 2nd are yet to be confirmed. There will be an opening 3-day match starting on November 8th before the first 2 test matches on November 13th and 21st. Meanwhile, Darren Bravo has since expressed his joy in being selected for the Bangladesh tour. He added that although the West Indies are confident, especially after the come-from-behind win of the 2020 World Cup, they will not be taking Bangladesh for granted. The West Indies squad is as follows: Darren Sammy as captain, Dinesh Ramdin as wicketkeeper and vice-captain, Tino Best, Darren Bravo, Shivnarine Chandapal, Narsingh Devnarine, Kirk Edwards, Asad Fudadin, Chris Gale, Sunil Narain, Veerasamy Permaul, Kieran Powell, Ravi Rampal, Kimar Roach and Malin Samuels. And now in some not-so-good news of sport, disgraced cycling legend Lance Armstrong has been stripped of his 7 Tour de France titles and banned for life by the cycling governing body. This after reports that Armstrong was implicated in one of the largest and most complex doping scandals in sporting history. The International Cycling Union accepted the report of the U.S. anti-doping agency, which claimed evidence of Armstrong's involvement and allegation that he still denies. 11 former teammates testified against Armstrong, and some has also said that he pressured them into taking the banned substance. The decision to ban Armstrong for life was taken this morning. And finally, tonight's Sports Cap, in some news of tennis, US Open champion Andy Murray has withdrawn from the Swiss indoors event starting on Monday because of injury. The 25-year-old Scot, who lost to Novak Djokovic in the Shanghai Masters final last weekend, is resting his back ahead of a busy end-of-season schedule. He plays in the Paris Masters beginning on October 29th and the World Tour Finals in London, which starts on November 5th. World number 1 Roger Federer defends the Swiss title, which begins against Frenchman Jeremy Chardy on Monday. Federer has won the tournament in 5 of the last 6 seasons. Well, that brings us to the end of your Sports Cap here on 7 Eyewitness News. I am Michelle Michael, inviting you to stay with us and have yourselves a great and enjoyable night.
Well, we've come to the end of tonight's newscast. I'm Samantha Ratton, wishing you a very safe and blessed night on behalf of all of us here at Twin Communications.